Hello, is this Mr. A2Z?
This is E. What's going
How
on,
are
bro?
you? How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Um,
Oh, sweet.
Before we get started, I gotta say I'm trying something new. Um,
Okay.
a buddy came over on the weekend and we tried to get this thing set up so that I can have A, better sound, and B, a bit more of a visual. So right now there's going to be a picture of you actually instead of just me talking to the screen. I've got a
Oh,
little,
sweet.
I guess it's reverse Jeremiah that I can speak to. Um,
Sweet. Sweet.
the goal is to eventually get you guys in here, or at least on Skype, so that it's not just my ugly mug talking to the fans. But with that, I will dive into my questions. The first question, easy one, man. What was the last song
Sure.
you were listening to on your MP3 player before you spoke to me?
What was the last song I was listening to? Last song I was listening to, actually, that's a good question, man. I've been listening to mixes all day, but the last song would have been, it was a hip hop mix I was listening to. I can't even remember the last track, bro. I think it was The Roots. No, it was Jay with the Damage on Paper. Love that track.
All right, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, what I'm trying to do here is collect some information, get everybody's rudiments of drum and bass, so where it began, where you started. So I guess I'm going to lead with the question of what was your first rave experience?
First rave experience. I used to live in Lindsay, so at Kawartha Lakes, right? So for us, the rave experience was a big deal. So we would come to Toronto. First rave I ever went to was Americana, which was at the airport hangars, way back. Like we waited at Nathan Phillips Square days for the shuttle bus to take us to an unknown location at the time. So yeah, it was Americana. It wasn't even a drum and bass party. It was just like a rave, you know? Like, yeah, long time ago. I think it was Pleasure Force and Dose came together for this part.
Yeah, I think I to be honest, when you said the name Americana, I didn't know what
Yeah.
you were talking about. But as soon as you described the hangar, that's where they threw Mach 1. Um,
Yes, exactly, as well.
yeah,
Yes.
so that was Dose. It definitely was Dose. I don't know who else would have
Yeah.
been Renegade. I don't know, but that's amazing. What year are we talking?
Oh, fuck, bro. I'm gonna date myself. Well, I'm 40 years old, right? So I've been raving for, 20 plus years. I would have been a teenager at this time. So I'm not sure the exact year, but this was like, yeah, like I went to, Destiny 3, 4, like one of the very first webs. So way back, bro. I was just a raver kid. Actually, I was raving also in Peterborough, believe it or not. There were some guys there that I guess went to Trent University that had a rave connection. So it was close for me because I was in Lindsay, and they have Easy Rush out there, and they'd have just like local guys as well. Even back years before I even knew what exactly all the genres were. You know what I mean? This was just breakbeat at this time, bro.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. You're talking before the evolution of jungle drum and bass actually occurred. Um, One thing I want to say is I was recently having a conversation with a mutual friend, and your age came up, and I pegged you at 40. I said he's got to be close to 40, and the guy went, "No, man, he's like 33, 34." And I went, "Dude, I'm gonna be 34 this year." And I remember when I was like 18, he was like 25 or something. There's no way we're the same age now. Like,
Yeah,
but
that's true. That's cool. I like that guy.
um,
Big up that guy.
what I want to say is the next question leads into what you said there about growing up in Lindsay. Growing up in a small town, you just talked about how you
Yeah.
had to travel to the city. But how did you first hear about it? Like, where did you hear about jungle or rave music, let's say?
That was actually, I thought about this. You might ask me this question. So, we would go on school trips to the city, right? Science Center, the ROM, and we would just literally fuck off. We would just go to the trip, run away. And one of my buddies, ironically enough, was like, "You gotta come with me, man. We're gonna go to this shop." So we took off, and he brought me to this shop. I don't know if you remember, but my very first rave tape was a DJ Fury mixtape I bought off Dominic at Ecstatic Records, Ecstatic Tapes, because this was like rave tapes, right? And Ecstatic, I think Tim Patrick had a record shop across the hall. It had like a few records, and then there was another like alternative rock shop in there where you could buy like VHS bootlegs of like Beastie Boys and shit like that. So he was going for that, and I came upstairs and I heard, I was, "What the fuck is this?" I stumbled into the room. Dominic was working. I bought the tape, didn't even know what it was, and it turns out it was an amazing jungle mixtape, DJ Fury from UK, and wow, I remember hearing that, man, and it was amazing. At the time, I was doing hip hop too, so I didn't really know about the whole art of MCing. I started to hear Hyper D, Fearless, Moose, you know, and I was like, whoa. And then for me, I was like, hey, I bet I could do my hip hop bars over top of this jungle shit. And I could, because it's, you know, essentially the same time, as long as you understand the math. And yeah, for me, it was just like, I was like, hey, I don't, because I was in a rap group at that time. And I was always writing lyrics anyway. But this was like, oh shit. And then when I discovered that people actually do spit over top of it, and I was like, this is for me. This is perfect for me. You know what I mean? I just kind of fell in love with it.
Yeah, no, and there's two things I want to say based on what you just said. One, my first experience with Dominic was THR Hardcore, Army of Hardcore, Dominic versus Spock, and I loved it, man. I must have played that tape till it didn't play no more, and that was.
I had the same tape, bro.
You remember that, the Rotterdam, like just hardcore. It was, yeah, and I loved it, and I remember as a jungle, that's when I also started getting into jungle, and I said this in my interview with Marty McFly. It wasn't even about the music to me; it was the people. When I went to the Army of Hardcore type party and I saw the type of folk, no offense to you people, but you're just not my kind of folk. The drum and bass people, I was like, no, these are people I could chill with. Those people, they're a little too much for me.
Yeah, same. Like, a lot of people don't realize how Dominic played a huge part in the scene here, man. Like, he was like happy hardcore, but without the happy. Like, just hardcore, really technical, good DJ. But he brought a lot of those mixtapes through Ecstatic to people and, like, exposed people to jungle drum and bass. He would even, like, drop in jungle tracks sped up, you know what I mean? So he could have that same time with his hardcore tracks. So he kind of transitioned, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to talk about that for a moment, where you're talking about if you know the math of hip hop to drum and bass. As an MC, I tell, like, when I try to explain to people how I can identify a song, what I'll say is, as an MC, I can tell if I can rhyme to it or not, and if I'm doing like a dubstep flow versus a drum and bass rap. And I can just hear this music, and I do that. I wonder, like, which flow would work. Okay, this must be blank. You know, and that's just how I can identify in my head. And then when I try to explain it to them, and I say, well, listen, if it's 90 beats per minute at hip hop and it's 180 at drum and bass, or 170, which really doesn't make a difference, you're just going from half notes to whole notes or 16th notes. So
exactly.
That's all it is. And then they're like, but then they'll fire back with, oh, so you just speed up then? And I'm like, nah, it's the same.
No, you don't have to do that. Yeah,
no, exactly that. You don't have to. But for the listener, they think we have. And if you hear drum and bass lyrics over a drum and bass beat, it doesn't sound as hypnotic, I guess, as it does when you do it over hip hop. And I find it's cool the way crowds who are ignorant to the fast chat, people who haven't heard drum and bass, if you will, they get their first taste to a drum and bass MC over a hip hop beat, and they're just like, oh my god, man, like, how are you not big? And it's like, dude, if you think I'm good, you should hear the guys that are really good.
No, it's true.
But you're one of them. And Jeremiah, that's what I want to say, leading into the next question here, which is, you are somebody that when I first heard you, you really did stand out from a lot of the other MCs. A, your voice, you sang rather than just rapped. And B, your ability to enunciate and hold a microphone correctly. You really did stand out. No, seriously, because we're talking the days of 254. That's when I first met you. And these are guys that Z and I were just talking about how you have to cup the mic and you can barely understand him. So with that, I want to know, who was it or what was it that inspired you to MC the way you do?
Man, you know what? Like, a lot of it was hip hop, right? I grew up with hip hop, and you know, I love the drum and bass aspect. I love the double time, but I also knew that, like, you know, I'm not UK. I can't relate to that. I don't have UK slang. I'm not Jamaican. I don't have that accent. However, like, I do hip hop, and this is what I know. So in the beginning, I remember spitting with you, bro, at 254 years ago. You know, and like, we just do our kind of chill hip hop bars. I love the double time shit, and you know, I did that for a while, especially with Z. Z's very high energy. You know what I mean? That's Z, right? He's got a lot of syllables real fast. You know, even in conversation. But I don't know, man. Lately, I think I went back to kind of my roots, bro. I went back to just doing that kind of fundamentals, and it's been paying off. Like, I've kind of left. I still do jump up. Don't get me wrong, but I've kind of been doing, like, getting booked for just me a whole night for, like, you know, things like Spectre Soul, Lensman, Blade Runner, you know, to name a few, Calyx and TB, like. So it's like now I'm starting to kind of get noticed for those liquid sets as well, because I listen to a lot of liquid predominantly at home, and I can do that. You know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. Hip hop just fits better with things like that. You can do your little 16s, 32s, get in, get out. You know what I mean? You're just hosting. It's more of a host vibe, right?
Yeah, no, I that's another thing I can appreciate with you is MCs that can appreciate the structuring of music, what you just kind of chatted really quickly, 16s, 32s. To the music listener who doesn't understand a rotation and thinks that the MC is just going free wild, it is sometimes occurring, and that's where I guess we get a separation between MCs that respect the DJ and MCs who are just trying to go up there and chat.
Right.
Which you've always been a person who's blessed the DJ, complimented the DJ, which is what I've been going after with when talking about MCs. I want to talk about the channel that you've started. I'm sorry, what's the name?
So my new project, NAGK, so North American Grammar Kids. So basically, it's just really an outlet or a way for people to hear those MCs that they see, and not even the MCs they see, people that they don't know. I've had a lot of people hit me up now that I didn't even know existed. That because we were talking about this, me and Z. There's not a lot of new MCs coming up. When you and me were coming up, there was tons, right? So many guys, and then it came up me and Z. Now there's a few guys, but there's not enough. But apparently there is. They just don't have an outlet. They don't feel they can. There's no place for them to perform. So it's not just about all the heads, all the guys that I want to come out. JD, Bandit, Z, me, Caddy, everyone. I want to have new school cats as well because they need an outlet. And for us to keep having drum and bass MCs in the future in Toronto, there's got to be new guys coming up, and there is. Big up. All the guys that are coming up. Dicky, Bishop. Reapa. There's a lot of new guys, but. I want to make an outlet so you can actually hear what they're saying. A lot of the sound systems aren't the greatest. A lot of people think it's just mumble bullshit and blah, 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 nothing. Like anyone who comes to the show, they're going to have something pre-written. Nothing fancy, nothing spectacular, nothing long either, because I know people don't have time anymore. So just a few-minute thing, a little blurt, you know what I mean? But showcasing Toronto and surrounding areas, just giving people an outlet, you know what I mean? That's really all it's about.
Well, I commend you and kudos to you for starting that. It is great that, like you said, you're going to have a platform for these people to be exposed. One thing I said to Z when we talked about it, and I wanted to bring it up to you, is it's important for the MCs to remember that you're there with the DJ. Your job as an MC is to complement the DJ. It's not to...
Absolutely.
Right, to be Skibbit D, if you will, on the microphone. Even Skibbit D, in all honesty, can get annoying, and this is where you get that discussion where it's like, well, they wouldn't hire him if that's what they didn't want, and it's like, no, there could be something in between what he's doing and like what I'd like to hear, even as an MC, and then there's here's the thing. At the end of the day, I understand the struggle for a lot of MCs. As an MC, I get it. You go up there and people turn down your sound, so you have to cup the mic, and now nobody can hear you. So, and if you just, and this is what I said to Z, I'm like, if you just try and boycott it and be a part of some MC union that says if we don't have proper sound, we refuse to perform, you're just going to get 4 other guys that are willing to perform with shitty sound.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You can't even, you have to do what you're doing, which is give yourself that, I remember, man, I hate to jump around here, but I remember when I first got into MCing, I asked people, what are these guys saying? I had it a Stevie Hyper Mach 1 tape, and I was like, what is he saying? And people would literally, legitimately tell me nothing. They'd say, oh, it's not words. It's just scatting and stuff. I'm like, and I'd sit there with the tape going, nah, man, he said something. Rewind, play, there's a word there.
Yes.
And I would...
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I would break it down, and sure, I fucked up the words, but I remember I had a GeoCities website where I put up a bunch of lyrics that I had deciphered from Skibba, Fearless, Debt, nice. It was a little MC lyrics page, and I had somebody message me who was correcting me on things, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I got to the point where I got to meet these guys, and I would be like, yo, that rhymed, and I'd say it, and they'd be like, actually, mate, what I'm saying is, and they would, and I don't know, man, but it's just, I guess it's important that the MCs know that they're being heard, okay? And,
absolutely. Yeah, true.
And when you're talking about the fact that we don't have many coming in the woodworks, or that could have a part to do with it, that they're so hated on nowadays.
It's true. I wanna kind of do something to change that. You know what I mean? I think this might help, this outlet. And obviously, I'm always especially the new guys. We'll hang out still. We'll have to party. We'll do the thing. We'll spit bars at places, and I'll tell them to write, or we'll write lyrics, or it's good that man, if it wasn't for guys like Tragedy, Band, and things like that, man, me and Z would probably be nowhere right now. So there's got to there's always someone helping out someone. You know what I mean? It's just got to be that way if you want the scene to live.
Well, and
DJ wise, that happens all the time. But and production wise, it happens all the time. And promotion wise, but in MC wise, I think we need to do more of that. In fairness, and rest in peace, a lot of talented people passed away, right? Caesar, Wyo, There's so many Jamie. I know I'm not going to think of someone right now, and that's what we'll define styles. You know what I mean? These guys had talent, and it sucks that it happened. But I think then it's even more important for the ones that are here to, like, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for tragedy, one night called me, government main room. He's like, hey, I'm going to do Dillinger. You can do Calix and TV. What? I didn't even have time to get nervous for this, bro. He's like, okay. He's like, I'm not going to do the whole 5 hours myself. I told him you're going to do it. Destiny. It's a huge moment for me. And everyone was like doubting. Oh, I don't know. But he did that. You know what I mean? And that helped me immensely. You know, there's been lots of guys that have helped so many. You know, to name a few, Marcus, Mr. Brown, obviously. You know, Villain, I heard him mention the other day. I got to give him props up from way back, you know. So it's been endless amounts of guys. 254 days, that's where, you know, Scarbread, you, me, Ricky, everyone kind of got their start there.
Yeah, and good old MJ. You remember MJ?
Yeah, man. Oh, MJ. I forgot about him, bro. Holy.
You want to hear?
Old school vibes right there.
Okay, and I'll say, since I just brought him up, I'm going to bring up a funny story from 254. I got arrested at 254 for drinking underage when I was 23 years old. Okay?
What?
Yeah, true story.
What happened, bro?
I might have been 22 actually. I was either 22 or 23. And what happened was I didn't have ID on me, and they busted me. The cops came in and they busted me for underage drinking. They tried to call my father, who I didn't even live with, and they're like, you need to give us someone to call. And they called my dad, and my dad it was like 2 a.m. He just flipped out on them, and then I ended up getting let go with a ticket, and I had to show up at court with MJ. And obviously I showed up at court with my ID, and the judge just fucking laid into this cop like he would.
Yeah, it's a huge waste of time. Like,
a huge waste of time. And the thing is, I understand I look young, but you have the bar owner that was vouching. I had a bunch of people there that were saying, he's of age, like, leave him alone. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you I'm of age. I'm not screwing.
Couldn't you run your name and see that you're of age? Like,
I didn't have, I guess, anything to run. I didn't, you know what I mean?
I see. That's fucked up.
But anyways, with that, I've got a couple more questions here for you, buddy.
Sure.
I asked Z this, but I want to hear it from your perception. How did you first meet Z?
I listened to that. Z left did some things, bro. So we met at WEF, okay, essentially. We Renegade Tents, we were killing it. And me and Z had this kind of curse thing after that. So we were like, yeah, we should hang out, do things. And for some reason, we get booked for a show together. For some reason, I'd be on my way, Z's car would break down. Then he'd be at the show, my car would break down. Or something would happen. We had this weird thing where, like, we couldn't be in the same place together for whatever reason for, like, a year and a half, 2 years. It was very weird. Almost like the universe was preventing it. We had to, like, self-develop first or some shit. Then we had our first show together, which he mentioned with Soulja, I believe. And from that point on, we started getting booked together. We were still doing our own thing, but we were still getting booked together, writing lyrics, shit like that. But we had a lot of weird coincidences. I know he mentioned fate. Maybe he didn't want to go there, but like things like, for example, our grandfathers died the very same day. You know, so Z was there for me, I was there for him. Our lifelong pets that we had for 13, 14 years died the same day. We broke up with our ex-girlfriend the same day. And we weren't even in contact at this time. So this wasn't like it just was the most randomest weird coincidences. Like, hey, this guy's going through the same shit that I'm going through at the same time in my life. Very, very weird, right? So maybe you don't want to mention those, I'll do it, I don't care. But things like that, bro. When you have things like that, you know, you're like, what the fuck, man? We gotta hang out or something. The universe is telling us something here, you know what I mean? Yeah, so yeah, we made a few mixes together that got us, you know, kind of like A2 and Z. Like you said, a lot of the young cats they always slang it, they shorten everything. So instead of saying Zster, they say Z, A2Z is A2. And it just made sense because he's Z anyway, A2 and Z. That wasn't even planned either, is another weird thing. So we've had a lot of weird coincidences, bro. That's really all I can say.
Yeah, and the weirdest one for me is I knew you as A2Z and I knew him as Z. And then the fact that you guys became what you became, I'm like, it's so fucking funny that they became A2Z. Like,
right, it makes sense, right?
Totally, man. It totally does. And yeah, no, you guys are awesome. You guys complement each other perfectly. It's great that the two of you found each other. And I wouldn't compare your combination to anything else I can think of in the drum and bass world because it's not like anything else. Like, for instance, when you get a Skibba Shaba or even a Det Skibba, what you get is awesome, but it's the two guys being themselves together. Whereas I find that with you two complement each other so well that you're not whole unless you're together. When I listen,
a lot of people say that too sometimes, you know.
That's honestly that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's cool. Like we've been doing it together now for so many years, bro. Like I know a lot of his bars, he knows all mine, so we can back each other up. And You know what I mean? We just, like he'll know when I'm having an off night. I'll know if he's having an off night. One of us has a sore throat, then the other guy will take the lead. You know what I mean? Like just shit like that.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, last question. And if you've listened to the previous interviews, you should have prepared for this one. 5 items that you can put into a time capsule that would encapsulate the Toronto drum and bass or even just the rave community. What would those 5 items be?
Okay, so now item number 1 would be a bunch of prophecy tapes, and it would have to include the Fearless and Skibbity with Shy Effects live on the radio, 89.5. Has to. That's a Toronto fucking has to. I don't know if anyone else said that. I hope they did. And
No.
if they didn't, I hope they regret that they didn't, because that has to be.
How does
there,
it
bro.
start? It starts with fear. This one is dirty.
Exactly. You know it, bro. Everyone, that mix gets played in UK like crazy. Everyone in UK, even the younger kids, know about it because their parents listen to it, bro. That is a very, very famous mix. You'd have to have some rave flyers. You'd have to have WEMP in there. You'd have to have a bunch of WEMP flyers, I feel, just to show our evolution. I would like some mixtapes in there too. Not just probably like some ecstatic tapes, like some of those old, Freaky Flow. Actually, not the ecstatic ones. Even after that, like Freaky Flow Tits, Capital J, like that whole compilation of things. Mastermind, I believe, is a hip hop one. What else? It's a tough one. I think Zee's album should be in there now because it's going to encapsulate a lot of, MC culture. It's going to merge a lot of UK and Canada artists as well. And I think you need to have the Godfather. You got to have some Marcus Visionary discography in there, I feel, just to represent Toronto. I mean, let's be honest, he's probably the most successful artist to come out of Canada for drum bass. So I think that would need to be. I'm just thinking strictly Toronto, Canada here, right?
Yeah, totally. That's what we're doing. Toronto, Canada. That's it. You got one more to go, I think. I think I've counted 4. I think there's one more.
Counted 4? Okay. Shit, what would be that 5th one, man? Oh, man. Some video of iDance. I seen a video of iDance the other day. Someone had recorded. I hadn't seen it in years. And I was like, holy shit. That would be a great video to include, I think. And it would have to be VHS tape.
Well, you know what?
Just to encapsulate the times.
And I want to say something based on that and something you said earlier, which is, I think, very important. To our future generation, something that I saw at iDance and was a part of, so I can't hate on it. It was a chance for us to present ourselves to the mainstream, if you will, for people from the real world to realize that raves were more than just recreational, drug-infested parties where kids disappeared to get high and da-da-da. And when you showed up at this thing, 75% of the people there were high. Like I remember, and here's the thing, and like I say, I back then that we're talking, I was probably one of them. I can't say for sure, I don't remember, but I probably was one of them. And it's important to our next generation that you're talking about. You mentioned some names. I don't want to say exactly who. I've met some of the next generation, and some of them are struggling from the same demons I once did. And I just want them to know that we are here for support. We don't want to see you hurting yourselves. Love the music, let the music love you. If you need help, ask for it, and know that the people that you look up to or the people that you maybe mentor from are there as supports.
Absolutely.
I know what A2 would be.
I would like to add to that just to say the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got to watch those demons, bro. I think you and me have both known many people. Like, I've been lucky. I was always that guy that never wanted to party at the party. I wanted to party afterwards, because I've been performing, which saved me, I think, a lot of the time. But, yeah, absolutely, man. If you reach out, you know what I'm saying? Especially now, man, there's been too many fatalities and things have changed, you know what I mean? But back to iDance for a sec. You had to admit that iDance you had every community coming together. Doesn't matter what genre, every subgenre. You had Dr. Trance playing, and then you had JD MCing to Happy Hardcore afterwards with, it was just the craziest thing at the time. But it was more about freedom of expression, right? Our right to dance in the city, our right to still have parties, right? And
that was.
Yeah, that'd be some good footage.
If you remember, Freaky Flow did his Mare Molassman impression.
Yes. Oh, Mare Molassman, yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, I do, actually. Wow, way back.
I used to shovel that guy's driveway.
Really? Did you pay well?
To be honest, I did it twice. I shouldn't say I did it like I had it as a job. I shoveled his driveway twice.
Okay.
And he paid it, whatever, I think $20, which was a lot for, me and my buddy to get. Yeah. But, he was, I grew up in North York, right? So he was the mayor of our city, which, He was a joke, man. I gotta say, God bless Mayor Molasman, but what a joke.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember.
Anyways, let's not get into that. I want to say thank you, and like I say, I really hope this turned out. A2, I tried a new program, so I'm gonna post this in a few days, and hopefully the sound and stuff came out well.
Cool, man. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, bro.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon. Okay.
All right, man.
All right, take care, bro.
All right, bro. Big
Ciao.
ups.
All right, there it is. Okay, and I hope this comes out well, guys. That was him, Mr. A2, and you already heard from Z. So I'm going to try and get the two of them together, and we'll have an interview. A big happy party with Vivid and A2Z. Until then, peace out, y'all.